I worked hard back in May to bring you this news. And I didn't want to talk about it. And I didn't want to be right then. In many ways, I am Paul Revere. But I need to tell you that the relationship between Ejiro Evero and the Carolina Panthers, like I said in May, is toxic. It is toxic. This guy is not someone who sounds like he has confidence in his defense. We have strong evidence to believe that he is not confident in the product that is going out on the field on the defensive side of the ball. We even further believe that Evero's job was at risk in the 2024 season. We kind of knew that. We assumed it. We assumed that to be the case. But some of these other clips, oh my gosh, it's going to blow your mind. It blew my mind for sure. And it makes sense. Tre'Von Moerhig, the 8th overall pick. The investments on offense, even back into 2024 with Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis, go further back into 2023. Bryce Young threw a boatload of picks that could have been used on the defense. And I'm not saying Evero thinks that's wrong, but time and time again in recent history, they have invested in the offense. And now Evero is sitting here looking at a young core, looking at this developmental project, and these are their words. They are literally telling you this. This is developmental. Dan Morgan, in his press statement a couple weeks ago, talking about not making the playoffs, did not even mention playoffs, reading off a script that the Panthers wrote internally, telling you that the goal is development. Not winning, development. And Evero is not confident in Nick Scorton's 92 PFF grade, carrying the team to victory, and lining up whoever is going to be alongside J.C. Horn, and whoever is at safety. Currently, it's Nick Scott starting at safety. Evero does not sound like he is confident in this group. We're going to tell you why I think that way, but first, let's hear about Evero's perspective on his job being on the line in 2024. Shout out Sheena Quick. She asked both these questions, did an amazing job. Here's a clip.
No, you just really can't dive into that. I mean, we completely understand what we signed up for, and it's a production business. And if we don't do well, that's always an opportunity to happen. But I don't worry about that. I do the best I can and pour into our guys, pour into our staff, and that's all you can do.
Evero kind of sounds like I sounded in high school when the kids from the city would come and play our basketball team, and I'm doing floaters, missing them in the layup lines, and then their side of the court is literally slam dunking the ball. Evero does not sound confident in this defense. He's going, yeah, I'm just going to go out there and give my best effort. He sounds exactly like I did in high school. Exactly like I did. This is not someone who seems to be exuding confidence in this defense. And I teased it. We're going to hear one more clip from Evero. Here's Evero talking about the question, if he has more faith, again, Sheena Quick with the question, does Evero have more faith in the players this season compared to last? Here is the Panthers defensive coordinator.
No, I don't want to really compare to last year. I'm just excited about this group. Like I've said, I'm really, really enjoying this group of players. They're just fun to coach, and they give their best, and they're coachable. They give great feedback back to the coaches, and so I'm just focusing on the moment.
They're coachable, and I'm focused on the moment. They're coachable. It's nothing about, oh, this guy is Spider Burns jumping out of the gym. This guy is immensely talented, and some people are probably going to say, well, did you hear what he said about Nick Scorton? And everything is about growth. It's about growth. The group is growing. It's developing. And Evero's a really smart guy. He knows exactly what he's doing. Because I do feel somewhat he feels like he's on borrowed time. Again, he said it. We don't do well, and it's always an opportunity that you get fired. That's what Evero said about what he thought was going to happen after a rough 2024 season where the Panthers were last in the league in yards allowed and gave up, I believe, almost more than a touchdown than the second worst team. A touchdown more. It's unbelievable how bad the Panthers defense was last season. And Evero did feel his job was at risk. It's always an opportunity to happen, he says. And now he's back. And yes, they get Derek Brown back. Yes, there are some things that have improved. Sure, they signed Turk Wharton. Tre'Von Moerhig is a better safety, probably by far, than anything you had last season. But still, developmental projects all over the field. And I was reading this. This came out a couple of weeks ago. Matt Bowen of ESPN. I don't know how I missed this article, so maybe you read it. I missed it. Matt Bowen ranking the top 50 NFL offseason signings, trades, and draft picks. So that's everything. Every transaction a team could have made in the offseason, Matt Bowen ranked it. So Tetairoa McMillan's on this list, Tre'Von Moerhig, Turk Wharton, they're all on this list. Ranking the top 50. Tre'Von Moerhig, 36th. Tetairoa McMillan, 28th out of 50. Out of 50 transactions, whether it was a signing, a trade, or a draft pick. Josh Sweat in Arizona, 6th. You need an edge rusher. You could have easily had Josh Sweat. And I think Evero looks at Josh Sweat in Arizona. The contract's 4 years, $76 million. I believe just over $40 million guaranteed. Which is not a ton of money for a productive guy who was on the NFL top 100 list, who had 8 sacks. Sweat is a long, angular mover, for people who like that type of language, who can win speed to power. He also has built-in counter moves. Sounds like I'm describing a transformer. It's like Optimus Prime out there. Sweat had 8 sacks and 33 pressures during the 2024 regular season. He added 2.5 more sacks in the Eagles' Super Bowl win. You could have had this guy 4 years, $76 million. You could have had him. I think Evero looks at that and says, okay, you're not going to go defense at 8th overall after going offense in 2022, offense in 2023, offense in 2024. You're going to go offense again in the first round in 2025. Okay, sure, I can get over that. So why don't you go get me Josh Sweat? And then there's that masterful piece, that video on Panthers social media in the Blueprint video, where it's the war room, and it's like what they told you Thanksgiving was, but the war room actually was what really happened on Thanksgiving. So bear with me here. The history books will be like, oh, the Pilgrims and Native Americans are best friends. They got together, big happy dinner, held hands, said grace. But what really happened is everyone sat there in silence and then they were at war 2 weeks later. Evero is literally sitting at a different table. So it's like this table with, I believe it's Tepper, who was, I think, only there for part of the video. But then it's Tillis, Dan Morgan, and Dave Canales. And Canales is closer to Evero. And then Evero is like, it's like an L-shaped table. He's on the other side, literally away, just like sort of looking on at the Panthers decision makers. And this is something that's built up for a while. And now you get a quote like this, which is, you can't dive into what could happen. I'm just going to go out there and give my best effort. And the guys are really coachable. It's nothing about the actual raw talent. So what's Evero's way out? Because I think the bar is low for Evero. I don't think the Panthers are going to do wrong by him, because I think internally they're saying that this is developmental. They're saying that this is growth. And I think Morgan and Tepper, if they're ethical, we'll say, would have difficulty parting ways with Evero, because you haven't really set him up to be much better than maybe like slightly below average. I think that's like the ceiling for this defense, because you're talking about Nick Scorton having a big year. You're talking about Princely Umanmielen having a huge year. You're talking about a guy like Corey Thornton, who's been impressive at camp. Thornton, the undrafted rookie out of Louisville, this is Alex Zetlow, calls him indisputably the Panthers training camp hero. So this is a guy that's going to have to step up. Lathan Ransom or Damani Richardson, they're going to have to fill big shoes. They're going to have to go above and beyond, and that's not a surefire to happen. And this is how the Panthers feel about the whole thing. Cassidy Hill, she wrote an article, Panthers.com, Derek Brown continues to set the tone for Panthers run defense. And Cassidy writes, but returning Brown, who set the NFL single-season record for most tackles by defensive linemen with 103 in 2023, is arguably the most significant addition is what they call it, of all. So Cassidy says Brown is the most significant addition. So not only do they believe this guy is going to be a near omnipotent force, like Derek Brown can play inside linebacker, corner, he can play defensive end all at once. He's Lawrence Taylor times 5X. But they also call him an addition, as in getting Derek Brown back, who is already on the roster. Like, this guy has been here, is an addition. That's an addition. That doesn't make sense. And I think you look at a guy like Josh Sweat in Arizona, NFL top 100, number 95, 2.5 sacks at a Super Bowl. And if you're Evero, you're sitting there and going, like, we really couldn't have had another guy like this. I don't know. This is one of the hotter areas in Carolina. A lot of optimism with the offense, a lot of optimism with the receiving core. We think Bryce Young's going to take a leap forward. But this is certainly an opportunity for growth. The Panthers defense, what's going to happen in 2025? What do you think? Let me know. This is The Tone. Thank you for tuning in.